Hello. Thank you for that beautiful introduction. Thank you for having me be part of your AGM. I'm very, very excited to be here. It's my honor, actually. So I'm going to quickly share my screen as I'd like to run through a few things with you. So one moment and hopefully you can see it. Okay, come on. Okay, please tell me, can everybody see that? Nods? Thumbs up. Beautiful. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So my name is Deborah Stathis. I'm a speaker, empowerment coach, and an author. I'm the author of Beyond Trauma, Turn Tragedy into Opportunity, and a contributing author in 2 books of inspirational stories, which I was very grateful to be requested to contribute to. And my business is Tragic Opportunities. And the real core of my message is tragic opportunities, which I will tell you what that is. I coined the term and it's stuck. So now it's actually the name of my business as well. Today, I'd like to speak to you about creating your best life, even when it seems impossible. And I'm living proof of a lot of the methods that I speak about. And I know that everybody here is incredible, because what we go through with an ABI or TBI is something that can't be explained unless you've had one. And I feel very privileged to actually have that knowledge, although it's been a tough road in a lot of ways. The information and the knowledge I now have is something that others that don't have an ABI will never truly understand. There's a real depth of knowledge about how the brain works. So there's actually a really good lesson there. So I'm going to start with a question, and I'm going to ask you all to think about this. Have you ever felt like you're stuck or powerless to create the life that you actually truly desire? I know I have. Have you ever felt paralyzed by your emotions? And just sit and think about that for a minute, because I know I have plenty of times. What I'm going to share with you today is the power that we all have to change the trajectory of our life and create our best life. And we all have this power. And I'm going to talk about how we can harness this power of choice, so as we can then choose our perspective, choose our focus, and create vision. You ready? You ready to tap into the power? Yes? Give me some hands. All right, got to make sure you're awake. So, finding your power in pain and fear. So let's address the first part. This is the cover of my book. It took me quite a bit to actually put that on the on the cover. To demonstrate these tools, I'm going to share my story with you very briefly, and I will do so throughout this session as well. So finding your power in pain and fear. Just to give you a bit of an insight, what you can see there, you might see my mouse moving around there, that is in fact my face. So that's, well, what you sort of see now. And the skull there, and you can see there's a 4 by 10 centimeter hole cut in my forehead, and there's pins and plates and things everywhere. That's my, actually on both sides of my face. A bit worse on this side, but it's on both sides. So many years ago, when we talk about years of ABI, mine's 22 years, so I'm pretty old in ABI years. When I was 19, I was involved in a very serious car accident. And I won't go into the details of that accident, but what I will tell you is this. The prognosis was brain damaged, blind in the right eye, physically not looking like myself, a life reliant on others. She can't, she won't. Limitations. I'm very proud to say that today I beat pretty much every single medical odd against me. And that didn't happen by chance. That happened through persistence, that happened through dedication, and that happened through never, ever giving up. So I have a little saying which will come up at some point later, and you will understand why. So firstly, let me talk about what tragic opportunities are. This is how I created tragic opportunities. So the tragedy is the trauma that we experience, the injury, the physical pain, the emotional pain, the challenges, the adversity, whatever that is. The opportunity is what we learn about ourselves, what we can do, how we can create positive, productive change in our life from where we are. Tragic opportunities. There's pain involved, but we come out the other side of it stronger and better than we even knew we could be. And we all have this in us. So this is the core of everything that I do. Trauma is actually a source of strength. ABI is a source of strength. You've survived and you're strong. There's no question of that. How do I know this? You're here. It takes a serious amount of courage to stand up and say, yes, this has happened to me. I'm going to join BIM. I'm going to get the help that I need. I'm going to be part, and for those that run BIM, I'm going to stand up for something. Advocacy. This is brilliant. And I tell you, this wasn't available when I had my ABI. So for me, I'm incredibly passionate about everything that BIM does. So I know you're all strong. I know you're all awesome. And I'm very, very proud to be here. So I'm going to touch on my story a little bit more. So as you can see from the cover of my book, I pretty seriously smashed, let's be blunt, I smashed in my face. Ouch. I have an acquired brain injury, of course. So I broke, and if you can see me as well, I broke my lower jaw on the my right hand side, my upper jaw on both sides, my cheekbones on both sides, my forehead, and my nose, of course, as well. The worst break for me was through the sinuses and through the skull base, so what your brain sits on internally, sort of in a sideways view, if you will. And that's where I had, the acquired brain injury. That was pretty severe. So of course I went through the rehabilitation process, and I went through the hospital system, and the system was great. Hospital, tick. Rehabilitation centre, tick. Home. Now what? And here's the thing, we get to now what? In any situation, whether it's trauma, injury, a stressful situation, whatever it is, now what comes up? Well, now what do I do? I've ticked some boxes, or I've healed, my body's healed, my leg's healed, or, they've given me the all clear, but now what? My job's ended and I've gone into a new job, but now what? See, now what can be debilitating, but it offers you the opportunity to understand your emotions. And here's the core, to harness the power of choice, perspective, and focus. And this is where you can create a vision. So you have a chance for a new beginning. You have that power. There's a defining moment for me that taught me this, which I will go through a little bit later, to demonstrate how this actually works and to give it some context, which I'm sure you'll all relate to. But firstly, what I'd like to do is just touch on emotions a little bit. Okay, who's ever felt overwhelmed with an emotion? I'm angry, I'm sad, I'm frustrated. I have a joke that I turn into, if anyone's seen the Despicable Me movies, I turn into the purple minion. They go from being really cute and yellow to purple and really angry. So I have moments where I turn into the crazy purple minion with the crazy hair. Point is, emotions. I'd like to share something important about emotions with you. They're not good or bad. Emotions just are. As soon as we judge an emotion as good or bad, we got problems, because then we layer stories onto it. Okay, so, oh, I feel bad. And because I feel bad, our brain automatically goes to other places and times that we felt bad. So then we judge that. And then we get stuck in that place of, oh, I feel bad and that's terrible, or I feel angry and that's terrible, I feel upset. Here's the thing. If we feel it and we accept it and say, okay, hang on, I'm feeling this emotion. Approach it with curiosity. Why? Why do I feel this? Let's switch on a different part of our perspective in our brain as well. Let's think about, well, hang on, why do I feel this way? What can I do with that? The strategy I use is approach it with open curiosity, but also, what is this trying to tell me? Emotions are a signal. The feelings you have are signals. They're telling you something needs to be addressed. So as soon as you think, okay, well, hang on, what do I need to address here? There's an opportunity there for you to improve the situation you're in, or address something that's been upsetting you, or look at something in a different way. This is incredibly empowering. And I found this incredibly empowering as someone with an ABI, because a lot of emotions come up. I will quite openly tell you that I have complex post-traumatic stress disorder as well. I've had a number of traumas throughout my life, through early childhood, with my car accident, of course, and afterwards, and after that too. So I've been through the ringer a bit. However, this lesson has been incredibly liberating for me to sit with the emotion and not judge it and go, okay, what's this trying to tell me, and what can I do now? Often we avoid our emotions, and when we do that, they fester, they grow, and they can become debilitating. Sometimes we sit with them for too long and they become bigger than what they are. This is a really good strategy to work with that. Now that I've gone off emotion, I'm going to talk a bit more about emotion. Possible trigger warning. This is because of the story that I'm going to share with you. I just wanted to mention that this might be a little bit triggering. We've all been through a lot, so I just wanted to acknowledge that before I move forward. I'm not going to start with the scary stuff though. So what I'm about to tell you is that moment that changed the trajectory of my life. And it's a moment where I learned something so powerful. And it's the core of what I'm going to be speaking about now. How harnessing the power of choice and perspective and focus can now enable us to create a vision and change the trajectory of our life. So I hope you don't mind. I'd like to share that moment with you now. Is that okay? Yeah, got some nods, making sure you're all awake still. When I was in the hospital, they covered the mirrors. I had caught a glimpse of my face, and didn't go down well, as I'm sure you can imagine. I have a dreamlike memory of that because, of course, the ABI, but also all the medication I was on and the surgeries that I'd had, etc. at that time. So, of course, difficult to recall that very clearly. I'm sure many can relate to that. Then I got to the rehabilitation centre, and I'm sitting there on the edge of my bed alone. I've had the first facial reconstruction, and I've had a brain surgery as well. And I'm sitting there and I see it. There's a mirror in that room above a little basin. I see it and I think, oh, whoa. And you know that feeling when something sinks into your chest, you know, that sinking, uh-oh. I remember sitting there thinking, that mirror is not covered. And I thought, go and look, Deb. Go and look. This was the first part of acceptance, the first part of looking at the truth. Now, I was really skinny because my jaw was wide and I could barely eat, and I was borderline anemic. So I don't know how long it took me to actually get there, but I did. And I remember I stood, I have the image of that little basin in my mind as clear as day. And I had my head down and I was looking at the little basin, and I don't know for how long, but I eventually looked up, and I will never forget that moment because I didn't look like I did, and I didn't look like I do now either. And I cried hard. Now, can anyone guess what the first feeling I felt then was? I'm sure you're thinking it's sadness. Fear. I felt fear. What do we do when we feel fear? We retract, right? We retract. It's instinct. And here's something. As soon as we retract in fear, we get exactly the thing that we don't want, because we render ourselves semi-powerless. So I looked around that little room that was a representation of she can't, she won't know who she is. She won't be able to learn. She won't look like herself. She won't be independent. You know, I was and still am a very adventurous, energetic, and vibrant personality that wanted to learn and travel and do things. And I didn't want to give that up. I didn't want to have, you know, the relationships that I had with my family and friends to be so altered that there wasn't that connection anymore. It was purely carer, for example. I thought, hang on, I don't want this. I don't want to feel this fear. And that was the turning point, because I was more afraid of what I was being told than my future. So I thought, hang on a minute. And I looked around, you know, my face was sunken, lower on the right-hand side. My eyelid was closed. My eye was fixed and dilated. I'm not blind, by the way, in that eye, which is really cool. I'm very grateful for that. My head was half shaved and I've got a scar ear to ear that runs across the top of my head. And I was like, I don't recognize me. And then I looked at myself in the mirror and I went, all right, you're here now. What are you going to do? And this has, those words I say to myself anytime I've got a challenge. I've had other medical challenges over the years, as I'm sure many can relate to as well. You're here now. What are you going to do? Acceptance of where I am, not looking backwards, because that life was gone. But what do I want to do? What can I do? Instead of focusing on what I can't do, let's focus on what I can do and what I do want. Because let's face it, there's, with all good intentions in the medical system, there's a lot of limitations. You can't, you won't, you this, you that, because, you know, they're trying to protect you. But there's so much more that we can do with an ABI. There's so much more that we can do. So this is where I'd like to share with you my power of choice method. Okay, you have a choice. You always have a choice. No one can control what's in here, what you're thinking, what you want to do. So I'll briefly go through it and I'll go through in a bit more detail. So 1, accept where you are and focus forward. You can't look backwards. You're not going that way. I'm here now. What can I do? Because whatever you focus on, you give power to. So when you focus on what you want, you'll automatically start to find ways of doing that. 2, review your perspective and decide how you want to be, live, and feel. And I'll go through that in a bit more detail. So this is about deciding how you want to experience life from this point forward. 3, focus on what you do have and can do, which I've already mentioned. And 4, create a vision. What do you actually want now? All this is your choice and you have that power. We all do. So accept where you are. Can feel like it's a hard thing to do, but you know what? You're here now. So accepting empowers you to move forward, because as soon as you stop looking backwards, your ways forward, right? So you get that empowerment, and it provides you with clarity about what you want now and in the future. Okay. So as long as we focus on the past, we're focusing on an outdated version of ourselves. So honest, when I first started, you know, rebuilding my life, instinct is go back to what I used to do. I was feeling very unfulfilled because my perspective had changed. My view had changed. I was different for a number of reasons. So I needed to look at things in a different way and explore my options. Perspective. You can control how you view your situation, focusing on what you do have and can do, deciding how you want to experience life. So we grow up, right? We're told what do you want to do? Doctor, lawyer, tradesman, artist, accountant, whatever that is. Wrong question. How do you want to live? How do you want to experience life? Then you find what you want to do. That can change. How do you want to be, live, and feel every day? This is the more important question. Now, trauma and adversity offers you a unique opportunity, authentic reinvention. I actually found that so liberating. That was a turning point for me. I'm like, woohoo, authentic reinvention. I can be and do whatever I want. Guess what? Everybody can. There's no limits. There's actually less limits. Another trigger warning just in case, because of the image that I'm about to show you. Focus, number 3. Focus on what you want. New way, new life. Ooh, I get a little bit nervous doing this. So that's my whole skull. And took me a long time to be able to show this, but I do this because there is power in pain, there is power in trauma, there is power in brain injury. And that's me now. I focused on what I wanted. Like I said, I didn't look like I do now straight away, but I didn't give up on the vision that I had. I didn't give up on what I wanted. I wanted to be healthy and energetic. I wanted to travel and I wanted to study. And guess what? I've done all of those things. I've had a successful career. I have 2 beautiful children. I've traveled internationally. And I now run my own business. That happened because I focused on what I wanted. Now, you don't climb Mount Everest in a day, okay? So it's one small step. You know, after that morning, it was the morning, I'm pretty sure, where I looked at the mirror and I said, you're here now, what are you going to do? From that moment onwards, I wowed them. I was released from the rehabilitation centre like a month early. It was that one extra step in rehab. That little bit more effort in the physical exercises and the rehabilitation processes with the OT, etc. It's just that little bit extra, and then you create momentum. And this is something that then grows and grows and grows, and you get stronger and stronger and stronger. And if I can do it, anyone can. I'm not special. This is about putting things into practice that work. So by choosing what we want and focusing on what we want, we attract and create more of it. What you focus on, you create more of. Please remember that. The power to choose how to be, live, and feel. And that was the key for me. How do I want to be, live, and feel? Not what do I want to do. The career I had was completely different to what I do now. Now, I have a 4-step process for this. Now, I'm going to go through this really quickly, and I'm actually going to provide a handout for everybody to be able to go through this process themselves at home, as I hope that's like my little gift to you, and I hope that that's helpful. Identify your true desire. Commit. Commit to it as a goal. Create a plan. If you don't have a plan, nothing's going to happen. Let's be blunt. And of course, action. Do something. Now, I'm not going to go through this in too much detail, but how do I want to be, live, and feel? What state do I want to be in? How do I want to experience life? Commit to it as a goal. I'm committed to being this way. Create a plan. Okay, what do? I create this state by. So, for example, me. I wanted to be healthy and strong again. I was weak and skinny. So you know what? Health and nutrition, fitness became a priority. I wanted my brain to work. I noticed my brain was not working the way it used to when I got home. And I went, okay, what can I do? I researched ways of doing things and I got additional help. Create a plan, action, do it, physically do it, dress the part, go places, engage with groups. You're already doing this because you're part of BIM. Okay, which is fantastic. So I applaud every single one of you. So this is a copy of the activity, which will be in the handout that I'll provide, which I mentioned. It will look like this. I'm not going to go through that now, but just to give you a quick view of what it will look like. Lastly, create a vision. Authentic reinvention is part of creating your vision, okay? What do you want life to look like? What's the vision? Again, there's an activity this will be part of the activity which I will share as well. Here are some key areas of life, and I know it seems broad. Friends, health, career, family. What's your vision for these areas? Until we have a vision, we're not going to know where we're headed. Now, let me just make one point of this. Life balance. Please don't think of balance as scales. It doesn't work that way. We're all different, which means we're all going to have different ways of and different things that we want to achieve in these areas. Balance is about what works for you as an individual. So in the activity which I will provide for you, please do take time to note down, well, what sort of friendships do I want to have? What do I want those relationships to be like? What do I want my health to be like? And how can I make that way? Career, work, what do I want to achieve? Family, how do I want my relationships to be? And what can I do? Not focusing on what things were, what can I do moving forward? You always have a choice. We can't always choose what happens to us, but we can choose our response. We can choose to respond instead of react. Responding is thought out and purposeful. Reacting is frenetic. Oh, this has happened. Respond, take a moment and think and be with how you feel. We can choose what we focus on. Please focus forward, focus on what you want, not what you don't want. You get more of whatever you focus on, you create more of. If you focus on what you don't want, guess what's going to happen? You're going to get more of what you don't want. You have a choice of how you view a situation. So you know what? I am a warrior. I'm not a victim. I do not take what constitutes a victim into, I'm powerless and this has happened to me. I don't take any of that into my life. I'm not just a survivor, I'm a warrior, and all of you are too. So I have power, I have choice. You have choice of the decisions that you make. Always. Make decisions that are for you and live your truth. And here's my saying, my little tag, if you will. Choose your power and never, ever, ever give up. Thank you for having me. I very much hope to see you all again soon.